A battle with a major designer, a brush with paralysis, embracing roles from serial killers to evil queens. What hasn't Charlize Theron done in her life? Stay tuned to find out the untold truth of Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron was born on August 7, 1975 in Benoni, South Africa. During this time, the country was under apartheid, an institutionally racist system that segregated white and black people, the latter of whom were prohibited from entering white society and robbed of their human rights. Theron has ambivalent feelings towards her home country. As a white South African, she's acknowledged her privilege, admitting that she was allowed to flourish as a result of the country's white supremacist ideology. As Theron recalled to NPR, she was raised on her parents' farm, which relied on the labor of black workers who in turn lived with the family. As such, Theron did not grow up being influenced by the racism, though she did ponder whether a wealthier upbringing would have altered her values for the worse, telling the outlet, "That was a lot for me to carry. It still is. I think it's something that I'll carry for the rest of my life." Despite this, the actor cannot lose the connection she feels to her native country, telling GQ, "I love my country, and it's very hard for South Africans to believe that, because I left and speak in an American accent."
That's when you're really wasted. There's gonna be a lot of things with drinking in here, I'm sure.
The relationship between Charlize Theron's parents, Charles and Gerda, was fraught. While Charlize Theron has long idolized her mother, telling The Guardian that she's the living person she most admires, the same cannot be said for her father, as Charlize reflected to NPR. "My father was a very sick man. My father was an alcoholic all my life. I only knew him one way, and that was as an alcoholic. It was a pretty hopeless situation." In 1991, when Charlize was 15, her life would be forever changed after witnessing her father's death. Armed with a gun, Charles threatened to kill both Charlize and her mother. To protect her daughter, Gerda shot him dead. And as Charlize admitted to ABC News, "I know that if my daughter was in the same situation, I would do the same thing." Acting in self-defense, Gerda was never prosecuted for her husband's death. Charlize Theron opened up about the horrifying experience, emphasizing that she's not ashamed of discussing her trauma, telling NPR, "This family violence, I'm not ashamed to talk about it because I do think that the more we talk about these things, the more we realize we are not alone in any of it."
I think if you haven't dealt with it, then you're affected, but I've completely dealt with it. It's something that happened a very long time ago.
According to GQ, Charlize Theron left South Africa a year after her father's death with dreams of becoming a model in Milan. She had previously modeled in her home country, but things didn't go so smoothly once she left the country. The 16-year-old was soon faced with the stark reality of the modeling industry's body negativity. As she told Vogue, "I was too tall, too big, too late for the supermodel look of the 80s. Kate Moss and all the tiny, grungy girls had just become fashionable, and I didn't fit the bill." Subsequently, she was told that she could make it as a model if she conformed to restrictive beauty standards, revealing to the New York Times that she was constantly asked to lose 5 pounds to make it in the profession. When Oprah asked the actor about her brief stint as a model, Theron explained that she felt stifled by the profession, saying, "It just wasn't artistically satisfying for me because I like to say what's on my mind." On swapping catwalk ambitions for Hollywood dreams, the actor has been quick to dismiss the notion that it was easy for her, due to being blessed with good looks, revealing to GQ that while being attractive may open doors, it may not be a door that someone would want to go through. For Charlize Theron, ballet was an escape from her troubled home life, as well as the horrors of apartheid. As she revealed to the New York Times, she considered herself more of a dancer than a model, but despite ballet being her first love, her dreams were soon shattered after a series of injuries, as she told Far Out. "I realized I couldn't dance anymore, and I went into a major depression. My mom came over from South Africa and said, either you figure out what to do next or you come home because you can sulk in South Africa." Theron told the New York Times that her mom bought her a one-way plane ticket to Hollywood, where she resided in a grubby motel during a particularly difficult time in her life. As Theron told CBS, she was living paycheck to paycheck, and in one desperate moment, she stole bread from a restaurant. Finding her footsteps in Hollywood also meant she was subjected to the advances of predators. In an interview with NPR, Theron revealed that a director touched her inappropriately in 1994 when she was a young actor struggling to make it in the industry, saying, "That is the unfortunate thing about sexual harassment. You never get that moment where you feel like the tables are reversed and now he's finally getting it." After scoring a couple of minor roles in movies, notably horror flick Children of the Corn 3: Urban Harvest, Charlize Theron got her big break in 1996. This was all thanks to none other than America's dad, Tom Hanks. After Theron auditioned for Hank's directorial debut, That Thing You Do, both he and producer Ed Saxon were convinced that no one other than Theron could play Tina Powers. As Saxon elaborated to The Ringer, "I remember Tom saying, 'Gentlemen, we just met a movie star. She was smart, glamorous, and had a phenomenal sense of humor.'" She initially auditioned for the role of Faye, but Hanks was having none of it. As he recalled, Theron was, quote, "too much of a supernova to play Faye." Despite Hank's faith in Theron's talent, she struggled with self-doubt. She struggled with her nerves while filming, but thankfully Hanks was there to help the budding star out. As she recalled to Backstage, "He just got up and was like, 'You know what? I really need to go to the bathroom. I'll be back.' It was his way of giving me a breather. When you have people who have that kind of kindness, you're incredibly grateful."
He's everything to me. He was the first actor whose name I knew.
Following That Thing You Do, Charlize Theron was suddenly inundated with movie work. She was cast alongside Keanu Reeves in 1997's The Devil's Advocate. Then in 1999, she starred in the Oscar winner The Cider House Rules. While Theron has never had any complaints about working with Reeves, she admitted to V Magazine that she had difficulties acting alongside Tobey Maguire in the latter production, saying, "Tobey and I had a rough time." But her most pivotal role came in 2003 when she transformed into serial killer Eileen Wuornos. With the encouragement of director Patty Jenkins, Theron took on the extremely demanding role, for which she gained 40 pounds. As she revealed to Marie Claire, she had doubts about taking the role at first, but said, "The thing that convinced me ultimately was that I never had somebody believe in me like that before. And all of a sudden, this woman is sitting in front of me and she's like, 'You have to, you're the only person who can.'" That faith in Theron was handsomely rewarded as she earned not only rave reviews for her performance, but an Oscar win as well for the draining role. After appearing together in the 2002 film Trapped, Charlize Theron and Irish actor Stuart Townsend fell in love. Speaking with Irish America, Townsend described the moment he fell for his lady love as they'd both gone out to grab dinner with the director of the film, saying, "All I remember is Charlize had a dog with her, and I remember thinking, oh, there's the mad lady with the dog. But then that night we went out to dinner with the director and I arrived a little early, and she arrived a little early, and she just looked like $1 million. Meanwhile, Theron couldn't believe her luck when she snagged Townsend, telling ABC, "The lotto was scratched and I won. I don't think I could have imagined a love like that." Theron felt grateful that she and Townsend were rarely subjected to tabloid intrusion, which she attributes to the couple keeping the relationship low-key. Yet this was a passionate relationship, as she told Vogue. "It's more than love. I've been in love before, but have I ever been with somebody who I really truly felt had my back and was my best friend? No, not until Stuart." Sadly, their love did not stand the test of time, and they called it quits in 2010. Charlize Theron isn't afraid to tackle demanding roles. In 2005, she starred in North Country as a minor facing discrimination and sexual harassment. This was a role Theron was particularly keen to take on due to parallels between her protagonist, Josie, and her own working-class mother. As she explained to Roger Ebert, "When I was growing up, my mother was the only woman in the road construction business, so I knew some of what goes on." North Country was directed by New Zealand filmmaker Nicki. Speaking with Female, Theron discussed the importance of working with female directors, particularly with regards to such sensitive subject matter, saying, "Coming off my little bit of success, I thought, well, if anybody's gonna give me any power, there's a handful of women that I really want to work with, and Nicki was one of them." The New York Times praised Theron's performance in an otherwise mixed review, and the film saw the actor gain her second Oscar nomination, though she ultimately lost out to Reese Witherspoon for her role in Walk the Line. Charlize Theron has long been dedicated to HIV/AIDS awareness and LGBTQ+ activism. In 2007, she started the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project, which aims to fight HIV in South Africa.
That's the part that maybe drives me the most in wanting to really get that across, that we can stop AIDS.
Additionally, Theron is a vocal champion of LGBTQ+ rights. Prior to the 2015 Supreme Court ruling that legalized same-sex unions, Theron campaigned for equal marriage, even claiming on The View in 2009 that she and Stuart Townsend wouldn't wed until marriage was legal for all. In 2019, she confirmed to the Daily Mail that her eldest child, Jackson, began exploring her gender identity at a young age, revealing, "She looked at me when she was 3 years old and said, 'I am not a boy, so there you go. I have 2 beautiful daughters who, just like any parent, I want to protect and I want to see thrive.'" Theron has spoken about the importance of respecting her daughter's pronouns, telling Pride Source, My daughter's story is really her story, and one day, if she chooses, she'll tell her story. I feel like as her mother, for me, it was important to let the world know that I would appreciate it if they would use the right pronouns for her. Throughout the years, Charlize Theron has been prone to numerous on-set afflictions. During the filming of 2005's Aeon Flux, she was almost paralyzed, revealing to news.com.au. It was very severe. I was a centimeter away from being completely paralyzed for the rest of my life. It definitely woke me up to, okay, you have to be prepared. I had 8 years of pain management where I just couldn't get rid of the spasms and the nerve damage. Although Theron resolved to avoid further injury, her attempts were ultimately in vain. In 2012, she was injured when making Snow White and the Huntsman. This time it was the temper tantrums of her character, Queen Ravenna, that caused the damage, telling MTV. I screamed so much at people I tore a stomach muscle, which I had never heard of that before. According to Deadline in 2017, she cracked her teeth when filming Atomic Blonde due to clenching her mouth too hard. That wasn't all, though. When making The Old Guard in 2020, she faced some particularly nasty injuries, telling Stellar. I basically lost all control of my hand, and I was shooting all this stuff riding a horse with a hand that had no function in it. It wasn't until I was done with the film that I realized I needed 3 surgeries.
Also want to know, how is your hand?
My hand's doing well, yeah. It looks a little scabby. Maybe you shouldn't get a close-up of that.
By 2009, Charlize Theron had decided to take a break from the big screen and began dedicating herself to other projects. In 2010, she appeared in the music video for Crossfire by The Killers frontman Brandon Flowers. She otherwise stayed busy during her break, but not in front of the camera, choosing instead to put her attention on more behind-the-camera roles. She explained that she wasn't finding many interesting roles as an actor, so she shifted her focus to producing and developing television projects. After 2 years, she returned to acting for Young Adult, where she played a washed-up, sweatpants-sporting ghostwriter of young adult fiction obsessed with her high school flame. Speaking with HuffPost, she explained why she chose to break her acting hiatus for the Diablo Cody-penned dramedy, saying, "It was really different. When I originally read it, I thought that it was ballsy in the sense that Diablo wrote a character, a protagonist, who learns a lesson but doesn't necessarily make a change in her life. And it felt very real to me. It felt very human to me." Director Jason Reitman said he would never have taken on Young Adult without Theron, telling Vogue, "Really, the only way I was going to do this movie was if Charlize wanted to do it. It's a really tricky screenplay to pull off because the main character is so unlikable." Charlize Theron adopted her first child, a baby named Jackson, in 2012. Following the adoption, she told Vogue, "I've always been very honest in saying I wanted a family. I've always known I wanted a family. I don't think my mom could wait anymore." Us Weekly reported that following her breakup with Sean Penn in 2015, she adopted her second child, August. At the time, she opened up to W Magazine about becoming a first-time mother in her late 30s, saying that the overall experience was great and had given her perspective.
It's definitely interesting to kind of watch the two of them grow up in the same house and be so different.
Right.
They just have different personalities, and I have absolutely nothing to do with that.
Adopting had been something that Theron had dreamt about since she was a child. On Diane von Furstenberg's podcast, In Charge with DVF, she revealed her early desires, saying, "My mom has a letter that I wrote to her when I was 8 years old, and in the letter I asked her if we could, for Christmas, go to an orphanage to adopt a brother or sister for me." Asked whether she ever wanted a biological child, Theron said that the decision to adopt was largely shaped by her single status, and that while she was open to the idea of having a child with a partner, adoption was her first choice. With a hefty $170 million net worth, Charlize Theron owes much of that dough to her work for luxury brands, as well as her many acting gigs. However, her role as a brand ambassador has, on occasion, found her in hot water. During a press event in 2007, she wore a Dior watch despite Raymond Vail having paid her $3 million to sport their goods. People reported that the latter company sued her for $20 million, and the case was settled for an undisclosed amount. In 2004, she signed a deal with Dior, becoming the face of the fragrance J'adore. According to CNN, her 3-year contract was worth somewhere between $3 million and $5 million, though the actor's partnership with the high-end brand continues, suggesting that she's raked in mega bucks throughout the years. While earning that bread, Theron has also used her partnership with Dior for good. In 2018, she spoke out to Harper's Bazaar about the importance of diversity in advertising. highlighting a movement of women from different countries with individual backgrounds and cultures coming together to demand more representation. She also spoke glowingly of the Dior brand, saying, "Anytime I work with Dior, there is always a conversation happening about diversity and the perception of women, and I'm lucky to get to work with a brand that is as interested in those questions as I am." In recent years, the already versatile Theron has branched out even further. The 2010s saw her star in two highly disparate films, A Million Ways to Die in the West in 2014 and Bombshell in 2019. Comedy hasn't typically been associated with Theron, but these days she's game for tickling our funny bones. She partnered with Seth MacFarlane for his aforementioned comedy Western, with the newbie director praising her versatility in an interview with the New York Times. Meanwhile, Bombshell, which sees Theron play Megyn Kelly, tackled a subject that's followed her around for much of her career: sexual harassment. Speaking with Vogue, she explained her willingness to play a character whose political views are diametrically opposed to her own, saying, "It's something that no woman wants to be defined by, especially an ambitious woman who wants to be known for her work. All of the women involved had to face that. It was incredibly brave." In recent years, she's also lent her name to family-friendly projects, voicing Morticia in the Addams Family flicks, and starring in upcoming Netflix fantasy The School for Good and Evil, exhibiting her willingness to experiment as a performer. If there is any word that typifies Theron's life story, bravery certainly comes to mind. From humble beginnings in South Africa to Hollywood stardom, Charlize has survived the Fury Road to become the atomic blonde she is today. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite action stars are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.